The good child. The good child I was. Your word I read. Sincere prayers I prayed. Your precepts I kept. But the world didn't like me, Lord. The rules I obeyed. The elders and teachers I did not dismay. Out of trouble I stayed. For others' needs I cared. But the world still didn't like me, Lord. You said I was precious. You said you cared. Even numbered the hair on my head. But the world still didn't like me, Lord. You said you were watching. You said you knew. You said my time would come when it was right. And I knew that was true. But the world still didn't like me, Lord. I spoke too little, or I spoke too much. I didn't smile or laugh or hug enough. Too tall, too short, too big, too small. A real bookworm, or a tomboy, and maybe a geek. The world had numerous names for me that were all so bleak. The standards of the world were too daunting for me, even though I knew that you had already paid the price for me. I knew the standards were worldly. I knew the standards were not true. I knew they did not define my self-worth or my standing with you. But slowly and surely, the earthly standards I let in and left an opening for the evil one to step in. And he turned and twisted the knife inside my head until I began to waver and froth and drown in myself. The good child is boring, the evil one whispered. The good child is no fun. The good child toes the line. The good child better be shunned. The gentle are crushed, the evil one whispered. The kind are dismissed and put in a corner. The selfless are used and cast aside. What good is the good child? And as I let your voice grow dimmer, the deafening world won over. I better hide the good child and put it under cover. And then I fell. And I fell hard. The unforgiving world just didn't bother. I was hopeless and confounded. I wonder what went wrong, and I just floundered. And even though in my heart I knew that I just had to turn back to you, I reasoned and argued and found every excuse to turn the blame on blameless you. Why didn't you stop me, Lord? Why didn't you protect me? Why didn't you do something to chastise me? You said I was precious. You said you cared. Then why didn't you step in and stop me from falling into despair? And when I was done shouting and complaining, when I was done reasoning and arguing, and when I was tired and accepted defeat, with that still small voice you did speak. Come back, you said. It's not too late. I've always been here while you were plundering your life away. I will rejuvenate you and pour living waters on your heart, heal your mind and bring peace everlasting that will not depart. And as I rested in your presence and drank of the living waters, I was reminded again that it is for me to make the choice each day. To be the kind-hearted even when the world puts me in a corner. To be the selfless even when the world casts me aside. To be the peacemaker even when the world judges my life. Because isn't that what you did for me? You were obedient and kind when they flogged you. You were loving and forgiving when they pierced you. You were thoughtful and giving when they nailed you. Can't I, with your strength, do my bit for you? And so I promise, Lord, to strive each day to live in obedience every single day, so that on that day when I stand at the gate, your heart might look at me and say, "Well done, my good child. Well done, my good child. Well done, my good child."